All right, we are live. I am delighted to have you join me, James. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, glad to be here and be able to extend the conversation and share with
Great.
you. I know it's several things that you just needed to get out. So I will be a very good listener. I will be able to listen to all those good things that got tapped in you because I know you just got to get them out, doctor.
You say that, but I'm pretty sure we are going to have an intense dialogue because nothing about you says I'm just going to listen. You are going to reciprocate, and I'm here for it. But I appreciate you saying it, even though I didn't believe it.
Well, you know, a great leader, not only does he lead, but he has to listen as well. So, you know, when you follow up the listen up, then you get to respond.
Oh, well, we both heard
Yes.
so many strong points. Like for those of you joining, hello. This is the conversation after the conversation, a collaborative web series that comes alongside the Trauma Research Foundation and the book club. So we are currently unpacking Becoming Mrs. Burton with the TRF book club. And in this space, we take that conversation one step further and really digest and take apart, break down, and build back up a lot of the comments and thoughts and ruminations we ourselves are having as a direct result of that conversation. And this is all fresh. We just ended that less than 30 minutes ago. So, James, I gotta start with one of the strongest things I felt you said, and I invite you to join in if I, say this incorrectly. But you shared knowledge brings hope, and hope invokes possibility.
Yes, it's that part where you have where knowledge brings hope, hope brings possibilities, and possibilities invoke change.
Mm,
Those three together, wow! Because see that the beginning of it, if you got to have some knowledge, right, to increase your capacity, and when you have an increased capacity, then you start seeing some things move, and then therefore your hope increases. When your hope increases, the possibilities are limitless. And then when you reach into that possibility and you start acting on some things and you start having some hope, that's what invokes change. And when we talk about that, that's the root piece. They are trying not to
mm,
have that hope.
mm.
They're trying not to have that knowledge. And they definitely trying not to have possibilities because when you put those three together, it's going to invoke change.
I thought that was so powerful because during the book club, in the section of the story of Susan's story that we unpacked, prison was such a constant theme. I think she went back and forth about six times.
6 times over, I think it was 12 to 14 years.
Right. And so going in and out of sort of like the frying pan to the fire, because
Yes.
when she wasn't in prison, she was going back into a hostile environment, be it family relationships, be it negative community interactions, be it negative romantic relationships, be it traumatized family relationships. Like it was just this revolving door. And when I think about the key words of what you're saying, knowledge, hope, possibility, and change, I think about what Tony shared,
Yes.
that one of the pivotal moments in the story, and this is a true story, this is not fiction, people.
Yeah.
So in 1981, her 6-year-old son, KK, was run over by an off duty LA detective who did not stop. The police department did not apologize or make any formal acknowledgement. The city ignored the community's request for a stop sign or some preventative measure to prevent this tragedy from happening. And that seemed to be the straw that broke the camel's back. in terms of all of the trauma she had experienced up until that point. That is when she just dove head first into coping mechanisms, and she found drugs to be her coping mechanism. But what blew my mind is that in that pivotal moment, 20 minutes away, was a mental health facility, was a care facility, were a grief recovery, like everything she needed. And what she ended up being directed to in 1996 was that same center that was 20 minutes away. And
Yeah.
so when I think about knowledge,
Knowledge.
I spin that out into our larger, current context. And I wonder, James, how often do you see knowledge, the need for knowledge, come up in the demographics or in your lived experiences or the people you interact with? Like, we're going to unpack all of that phrase, but I really want to start with the knowledge part. Like, what knowledge do you see most often missing?
Yes.
And what is the mechanism in which to deliver it?
Well, knowledge is the how. How do I, if you give me knowledge and you let me understand how, then I can put forth my faith and my strength to go for it. But if I don't have the knowledge to know how, I can't move forward. The numbness that she got from the drugs was the answer that most want those type persons to have. If you're numb and you're abated, then you're not moving forward. Mm-hmm. But if you give me some knowledge and I learn how, then I can advance. When I take a young lady from the rural sections of places of Maryland, and she says, Mr. Gordon, I'm 13 years old and I've never gone to the mall. I'm just so grateful that on this particular trip that we're going to the mall. I call them enrichments. People call them trips. I call them enrichment. Why? There's a difference between enrichment and trips. Trips is just something you do. Enrichment is when you gain knowledge, when you have compare and contrast, when the young lady can live somewhere 13 years old, and due to her socioeconomic background, she has not even gone to a place that's only 4 miles from her home. Think in mind of the location of home, the street, the block to school for 13 years. Now, as we say, 8 miles down the road is the mall. We look in comparison to the 20 miles that the building is from the young lady's home. And the daughter said, Miss Tony said, I used to pass by the building. I didn't know what it was. It was just another building because what? There was not knowledge.
Yes, sir. And it was 20 minutes, not 20 miles, 20 minutes. And y'all, if you could tell, we fired up because the conversation was intense. But James, would you be so kind as to tell, the watching audience a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do and the work that you're grounded in that guides your perspectives? Because if someone is on the outside looking in, they're going to miss the brilliance of what it is you're saying or the decades of experience in which you are giving them this wisdom.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share. I'm 26 years in this educational leadership realm, and I'm on 35 years of business acumen. I work within the school systems, and I am an educational leader. I've been a principal. I've been an assistant principal. I've been a teacher. I've been a concerned parent. Every step that you can be, I've worked with. I've been in the $2 million homes. I've been in the $200 a month rent homes, the trailers. I've been in the urban cities, the rural white America, the rural Black America, and work with all different types of socioeconomic backgrounds of people. I bring to you the knowledge of real life experiences of being able to see the full spectrum from pre-K all the way through 16 meaning after high school. I've been a professor in college, and the spectrum to be able to see the origin of a kid that's 4 to go all the way to a young person that's 22 or 46 or 50 that's in night school. There are some learning pieces within that spectrum to see the involvement of different types of people. And my passion and my experiences are what I bring to this conversation to be able to share just a few seeds of greatness that
Mhm.
has helped me plant those things into our young people's lives.
Thank you so much for that. And for our YouTube community that's watching, your comments are a part of the conversation. So you are welcome to join in the conversation through your comments. We'll see them. Or if you feel so inclined, let me know and I'll bring you in, to join us in this live conversation on this platform. But with that context, I want to add in terms of knowledge as a mindset coach, as someone who was a consultant, one of the things I often find, and I saw this in the story, was how often what I can only adequately frame as imposter syndrome comes up. And imposter syndrome, for those of you who are like, well, what does that mean? Anytime you go into like a space like this, if I had imposter syndrome, I would doubt the credibility of everything I'm saying. I wouldn't have the confidence to really support a lot of the knowledge that I am sharing with you. In fact, I would second guess myself. This constant um, belief that what I'm saying isn't good enough or that people are going to make fun of me, et cetera, et cetera. All that negative chatter. And I bring that up because when we talk about knowledge, I often see that, as a coach, as a consultant, that is one of the first things that comes up is people not believing that the knowledge that they have is valid. If I think about the young lady you mentioned in terms of the mall, her experiences, if she could look at what she brings, even outside of that lack of exposure, and see that my experiences are just as valuable as XYZ. And so, like, as I think about knowledge, I think about all of the trap doors, all of the hidden things that try to steal the knowledge, even when it is delivered. And that's where it brings me to hope.
Okay.
So, from knowledge to lack of confidence around your knowledge, what is the hope that you think, or we can begin to think about? Like, what is the hope
Good,
that
good.
we, you know, put out there to pull people forward or encourage people to overcome that lack of confidence, overcome that knowledge, no matter when it comes, whether it comes early, whether it comes late, or whether they have to figure it out themselves?
Here's another word that we want to add: validation.
Mm,
Dr. Keisha, think back when you was a small young lady, just coming up 4 or 5 years old.
mm,
The validation that we all want our parents to give us. Good job, son. Good job, daughter. When you did something well and you got the validation of that, what did you keep doing? You kept doing what brought that validation because you wanted to keep hearing that support and that what reinforcement. When you
mhm,
did something bad, you heard that
mhm,
and you yielded that. But we want to hear the validation of what is good.
mhm,
Okay, I might have some thoughts and I might feel a certain kind of way, but I might be biased. But if Dr. Keisha says, hey, Gordon, that was good. Oh,
mhm,
that validates. And I tried maybe one more time. The young lady that you asked about that hadn't been to the mall, how could she validate what she knew if nobody ever gave her validation or encouraged her? One of the things we missing, the prison guard didn't say, well, you know what, you're working hard.
mhm,
This time I think you got it. No, they did the punitive piece. I'll see you again.
mhm,
You'll be back. That's that punitive mindset, that beat down that occurs more often instead of the validation.
mhm,
As you have advanced to be Dr. Keisha, at each level, you were validated by a certificate,
mhm,
by a grade, by your production. And one of the key ingredients that we're missing is validation of actions.
mhm,
When we talk about hope, the only thing that can transcend hope is knowledge and opportunity. If you give me if I get the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and I start believing, I can have that belief. But when I knock on the door and it keeps closing, and I knock and it keeps, and I don't have the opportunity, and I run out of money, what if the money would not have been given to Miss Burton by the donor, and she had to stop her house? Just what if?
Yeah.
But the money was the opportunity that
Yeah.
kept giving to her so she could keep giving.
Mm-hmm.
So that hope need, where's opportunity? Right now in school, in what I do. But I first gotta be given that acknowledgement.
Validation and opportunity seem like they should be synonymous.
Sure.
But as I listen to you, I wonder, depending on where someone is in their journey, if they can hear the validation, believe the validation, hold on to the validation. Depending on their experiences, their lived story, their attachment styles, if we want to get into the psychoeducation of it. One great example, and that's the beautiful thing about the conversation after the conversation, we take it into life for our listening audience. And Doe, thank you for your comment. It is appreciated. Nourishing seeds are being planted, and here we are being validated by Doe. If I struggle with my confidence, or I was verbally abused, or I was consistently told what I couldn't be, what I wasn't supposed to do, if I allowed the racism, yes, I have been validated by my degrees. But when I tell you, you don't break glass ceilings without getting cut.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was the first African American to get my master's degree in Beijing Normal University, and the first African American to get my doctorate at the University of Hong Kong. And I suffered all sorts of cuts breaking those glass ceilings.
Yes.
So much so that I had no desire to be a university professor. I had no desire to go into higher academia, even when those doors were open to me. And I wonder,
yes,
how much of my unhealed trauma from those experiences stopped me from seeing the validation of those job offers, of the awards that I did receive when I published articles. I had all sorts of opportunities, given to me, but I had no desire for any of them. And now, and let me be clear, I don't regret any of them. I'm very happy with being an entrepreneur.
Right.
I've done quite well for myself, but the choice that I made was not a result of validation. It was a result of traumatic experiences, and that is not a choice.
That's not a choice. That's a circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of all those dream killers that you face, you persevere. See, we have to understand, we have to see those persons who are in spite of, and those that are a cause of the system.
There you go.
Make no doubt, the system is set up to the haves and the have-nots. Now, it's set up for you to get, if you can afford to go in the $300,000 neighborhood and buy a house, they won't tell you can't, but you got to have the money and the credit, and the bank's going to make it hard. If you can go to the $1 million homes, they won't tell you a certain gender or type, and you can't. If you qualify, we're going to make it hard, and we might not want you there, and we let you know that, and you deal within that prison to stay and live that dream you have. But are you really free? And so when you take those cuts that you got, when people take this story and it talks about the repetition, when she's gone back and she's resurfaced and she's gone back, it's not due to lack of effort trying to get out of the cycle. It's just that the knowledge accidentally dropped in on her, because the problem, they talk about rehabilitation. That's not true. Let's get rid of that. If you really want, I'm about solutions. Give
Mm-hmm.
me the root cause so I can develop a solution. If you know the root cause is cancer, if you know the root cause is drugs, then come with the solution that cures those things.
Mm-hmm.
We should not have the validation of the program of people resurfacing. We should look at the breakdown, but who's holding them accountable?
Mm-hmm.
They feeding each other. The system is feeding you because every time I process you, it's the same fee. And I got to keep the lights on. So if we were really trying to look at the data analysis and say we had 32,000 prisoners and we had 1,000 go out, what was the program for true rehabilitation? What was their root cause? You couldn't get a paper file on these people to let you tell them they're medicated unprofessionally to keep them numb, but not to cure them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Possibility.
Woo! Strong. Possibility. Hope. If you just show me a glimmer, if you just give me some hope, Lord, if you just get a child and you give it, I've seen a child in a dirty t-shirt that he wore 4 days and he did a problem and some hope came and that child lit up, cut his hair, washed his face, stood up tall and talked with confidence because the light went off with hope. I've seen it.
You have.
Mm,
You have.
mm.
I told you wasn't just gonna listen.
Woo! You asked me a question, so I had to
I
answer.
told you weren't gonna listen, and I hope you wouldn't because you have so much wisdom. So much wisdom. Like when you get excited, I hope people realize this isn't a man just getting excited because I said possibility. This is a man getting excited because he sees faces
Yes.
of real children, real
Yes.
students, real lives
Yes.
that have experienced possibility, even in the midst of some of the most hopeless
Yes.
circumstances. And
Yes.
so I'm going to just step aside
Yes.
and let you release what's bubbling up inside of you, Mr. Gordon. Let the people know what possibility can do when given, when added to hope and knowledge.
If you truly want to be a conduit of change, you have to listen not only to the kids, but to the parents. And you have to treat everyone with dignity. As we talked earlier to Mr. David, he referenced that his father had some challenges and his family was looked upon a certain way.
Yes.
No matter what, a human being is a human being, whatever creed, race, peace. Remember, we live in a world that used to consider people 3/4 human.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot in that right there. But every person, if you treat them with dignity and respect and listen to them, you can connect with every layer and every level of person. Because it's not, Dr. Keisha, that I want you to do everything that I say, but I at least want to know that I'm heard. And that my words have value and that you treat me as a human being. When a child knows, I used to have kids that tell me in the inner city of Baltimore, hey, Mr. Gordon, that teacher ain't going to be here to Christmas. Matter of fact, she ain't going to make it to Thanksgiving. I said, y'all stop it. No, she ain't real. She ain't real, Mr. Gordon. She won't be here. She won't be here Thanksgiving. Sure enough, October coming, teacher gone. The kids say, see, I told you, they don't stay with us. They don't care. They're just here. Because why is that kid? Nobody's believing enough to stay in, to put that seed in me, to believe and to see it through. But when they see that you care and they get past that hard shell and they open up and they allow you to pour into them, and then they bring it back to you for validation. It's not that they can't. They just want you to show them how and give them the opportunity for them to perform. We have some of the most brilliant people in the places that's most dire. It's not a result of if I can choose where I was born, it's what I do with where I am. And when these children and these grown folks, when we bring them into a school, are we supposed to have services or support wraparound services to help protect and guide them? I'm not talking about a handout. I'm talking about a hand up, a support, a wraparound, a pouring in, a pathway towards success. That's what gets me excited.
I hear possibility taking on a duality as you speak. There is the possibility of the person who receives it understanding that there is something else that is possible.
Yes.
But there is the responsibility of the person who is extending the opportunity or walking alongside the individual going through this space of possibility to see the possibility of
Yes.
something different in them,
There you go. There you go.
to see past where they are
There they
and
are.
see the possibility of where they can go.
There you
And
go.
that is happening at the same time.
Yes. Yes. You can't teach me if you don't know me. You
No.
can't help me if you don't understand where I am. Don't just come in here with me a boilerplate situation. I got some knowledge, but let me listen to you about what you need and where you are. I got to start where you are. I can't put you where I want you. Now I can take you where I want you to go, but I can't put you there. Yo, it's a difference. It's different. Dr. Keisha, I can take you where I want you to go, but I can't just place you there. Oh, I got to start where you are. Now we got different levels of conversation. I want to listen to you first before I start giving you, because you can't hear from me until I hear from you. So what I had to learn over time is much passion as I have and want to give, before I start pouring in, I got to let folks empty. Uh-oh. Woo! I got to let them empty.
That's perfect for where we going to land this plane. Change.
Woo, change.
Change. You said a mouthful, and I'm going to politely ask you to say it again. Before I can pour into you, I have to let you
empty.
How?
Get it off your chest. I got to listen to your good along with your bad, the things that you want, the way you got hurt, the things that you see, the beliefs you have in yourself. I got to put all these pieces of the puzzle together as you empty. That gives me more definition of who you are and where you want to go. And let me see your vision so I can now craft your pathway. We call it an individual educational plan. I'm going to call it an individual life plan, an individual academic plan, because it's individualized to your blueprint. Okay?
And the secret sauce to that is patience. The secret sauce of that is building real relationship.
There you go.
The secret sauce of that is showing up real over a course of time.
Consistency.
This is not a wham, bam, thank you, non-binary, because we're talking about all sorts of people now. Yeah. But it is real clear that this is not something that, it's not a hack. It's not a tip. It's not something that you can apply and expect it to work like a magic trick. Depending on the individual, you have to also see the possibility that you are not the first person to approach them with this mechanism. And you don't know if someone before you took their fragile hope, because the hope of an individual that we need to see past to see the possibility of where they can be, we have to also recognize that hope is one of their most valuable commodities, if not the most valuable commodity they have. And if they are going to trust you enough to bring this out and share it with you, there's more than likely going to be a gauntlet. There is going to be a testing season. There is going to be a need to show receipts.
Yes.
And if you don't have the patience
to
wait for that moment or wait for those series of events that get them to the point where their container is empty, because this is not, more than likely, it's not going to happen over time. I'm a coach, and when my clients sit down with me, sometimes they may empty their container, but that's just a pressure release valve. And once they make the necessary recalibrations, that doesn't mean that the work and my coaching is about to come. No, I have some sessions where I am literally just there to listen.
Yes.
Because you have identified me as a safe space.
Yes.
But the first few times, you just wanted to see if I would listen.
You are so
I just wanted to rush in with the solution.
Yes.
So even in a well-paid environment, I have to wait.
Yes.
Until the container is empty. Sometimes I have to be patient as we go through the experience of we'll prove it.
That's it.
Right. And so as we, would you please, I don't want to say it because I like the way you say it. Can you wind us down by saying this statement around knowledge brings hope?
Yes, yes. Knowledge brings hope. Hope brings possibilities, and possibilities invoke change.
Thank you so much, James. This has been an amazing conversation after the
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yes.
Guys, we're going to do this every Thursday in June, 30 minutes after the Trauma Research Foundation ends. And if you haven't already started reading, this is the book. Everything we're talking about is coming out of. And Miss Burton herself, this woman will be on the Trauma Research Foundation's book club conversation next week. So you don't want to miss it. You do not want to miss it. We have had the luxury of having her daughter, Tony, be there. But next week, hopefully, we'll get the mother and the daughter. But we will talk to Miss Burton herself. So be extra kind, be extra patient with yourself, and please take the words Mr. Gordon has shared with you. Susan and Doe, thank you so much for being here. Susan O says, thank you so much. And Doe says, compassionate care and inquiry.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. You guys
Wonderful.
take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.